The Grove Park. Park life. When I was aged 7 or so, I would spend long evenings in the ladies' staff cloakroom of the restaurant at London Zoo in Regent's Park. We must have been near the aviary. Because of all the animals in the zoo, all I could hear was squawking. Mum was a silver service waitress there, and if her sisters were busy, I would go to work with her and hide in the cloakrooms until service was done. I say hide, but it was a bit of an open secret really. The ladies would pop in mid-service to check on me and bring me a piece of meat and some potatoes on a saucer. So I wasn't really undercover. Best part of the evening was when the pudding trolley had been round. In between visits, my imagination would run wild with the thoughts of all the exotic creatures on the other side of the walls. That's the place I think of now when I sit and reflect and watch the children play. I'm out to take the air, as Mum and her sisters would say. They would have liked it here. Nice manners, very safe. What a wise old brood of hens they were. Spinsters who happened to be married. Not that you would know it to listen to them. I was well off and didn't know it, was the favourite mantra, as they reflected with rose-tinted specks on their independent days, peppered with tales of the one that got away when they thought I was safely out of earshot. Of course I heeded their advice not to marry into the bunch of ne'er-do-wells from round here, and sought my fortune in pastures new, mostly by the way of Stuart from Hounslow, who worked as a runner at Goldsman's on the Life Exchange floor, where I worked as a receptionist. It was 1983. Club Tropicana was the sound of the summer, and the future was there for the taking. Contrary to their usual stance on marriage, Stuart came with a full approval of the brood, so off down the aisle we raced. I quite fancied the sound of Ibiza for our honeymoon. But Stuart had to be back at work, so we spent a long weekend at a golf resort in Hertfordshire. There was no room in the schedule for having children, for we were on the escalator to upward mobility and respectability via a large Victorian terrace in the sought-after village area of Tunbridge Wells. I gave up the day job when it became unseemly and took up the mantle of full-time woman behind the successful man. As the Prime Minister of the time pronounced, "Economics are the method, the object is to change the heart and soul." And for a time I did believe we were living the dream. Stuart on his business travels, and me presiding over an endless carousel of ladies' lunches, dinner parties and community associations while baking for England. We climbed and climbed the ladder of prosperity until we reached the pinnacle. We were the fully detached of Camden Park. But he was so very ambitious, our Stuart, driven by some conviction that what he was searching for could be found in more. Such was his appetite that not one home life would do. I only became aware of Amanda and their 3 children when she turned up in the driveway one afternoon last summer. A slightly built woman with fair hair and pleading eyes. It was about 3 months after the repossession notices and bailiffs had started to arrive, followed by the High Court hearings and Stuart's one-way flight to Sao Paulo. She spoke with such a whisper. I couldn't make out a word she said at first, but soon the penny dropped. We shared a pot of tea and a Victoria sponge at the table of my half-refitted kitchen. Summer was delivering on its promise, and the scent of the garden wafted in on the breeze through the French doors. We watched in silence the birds flit from tree to pond to bird feeder and back. Then we talked calmly, and with some melancholy, of our childhood dreams. I went to my handbag, found some notes in my purse, and popped them in a white envelope from the kitchen drawer. I put it on the table next to her teacup and went upstairs to finish packing. They should be here any moment, the girls and Amanda. We meet every Thursday week when I return from work on the 6:25 from Charing Cross. And the children run around with wild abandon in the playground and zigzag through the trees of this little haven. When they've worked up an appetite, we shall collect our fish supper from downtown Fish Bar and eat with our fingers around the table in my cosy little flat, admiring how well the herbs are doing in the window box. And when they are gone, I shall sit by my window and listen to the birds.